What's going on, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with another haul video. Now, before we get into all this goodness that I got in the mail today, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit this subscribe button as well as the bell notification. That is if you like to know when videos like this drop ever so randomly, because it is very random. So I dropped a video because I dropped a video today that I pre-recorded. Then I come on here and I do a live here. I then recorded a video that's going to come out Sunday and got to work on one that's going to come out tomorrow. So yes, it's ever so random. You know, this little thing called work and life. You just try to get up in the middle of it and try to see what the best you can do. But I did get some good pickups today. And this is some of them. And so as you know, or you might know, I pick up most of my stuff via either Instagram or YouTube auctions. I'm on the YouTube auction scene as well as buying stuff myself. What's going on, Flash by Night? And K Titus, hello, hello. I picked that stuff up, and then as I'm scrolling to people that I'm connected with on Instagram, occasionally you'll find some good deals there and able to put some boxes together and ship it in a package. So this one guy I've bought books from off Instagram before, and the last time I talked to him, he had indicated that he was going to be posting some comics fairly soon. He ended up not posting them, and I'm trying to all these little bitty boxes that I've been building with all these different people. I'm trying to get them. You can pick up my I already got one. I don't need another one. So yeah, I've been trying to cull out all these little ones and know where all my stuff is at and get it into the collection and get it on there and make sure that I'm where I need to be at. I do that every so often because you just have all these little boxes laying out here and you go, no, I've got some books out there with you, and I typically put them in my CLZ app so that I don't double buy them, but I don't want to accidentally miss. What's going on, Hidden Gem? How are you? Was on your in the chat. You were doing your giveaway the other day. So yeah, so that's the deal, and ended up not posting stuff. So I don't know if something came up or whatever. I said, hey, let's just go ahead and settle up because I was at 8 books. And so I decided to go ahead and settle up on that. So I had to have a little Valiant love in there somewhere with this. And this is Exo Man of War number 21. This is the last issue of volume 2 of Exo. That's when a claim on Valiant. And so these series are very wonky. And but hey, what's going on, Mr. Comics 89? You might recognize some of these comics because they're heading to you, right? So anyway, so these were the other ones that I got from him. Marvel Comics Presents 74. So this is during the time that Marvel Comics Presents was showcasing or giving the origin of Weapon X. Awesome Barry Windsor Smith art, as you can see right here. And of course, as with all these Marvel Comics Presents, they have other stories in there. Some are good, some are not so good. But I bought these really for the Weapon X storyline and the Barry Windsor Smith art. And so I'm only missing one out of that whole run now. But because I got most of the ones I needed right here. This is issue 75. And of course, later on, when they started adding Ghost Rider on the opposite side, they would develop the flip cover. So got 76, 77, 79. Now what is referred to as the Weapon X costume. And the Weapon X costume, as a matter of fact, there's a story of it in the new Wolverine Red, White, and Blood. Then you got 81 and 82. And over the course of time, they've retconned some of the stuff that's told in these stories, and then they've gone back and said, no, it was right. And then they kind of passed it off as Wolverine's memories were all messed up. But I wanted to get that run right there. I've got the first Weapon X one, and then on through the last one. And like I said, I only need one now. So these other ones I got from Cat 60 Designs. What's going on? Slide it up. It sucks. What's going on? And so these I got from Cat 60 Designs, who typically sells on Metaphorical's channel on the Midnight Mafia. So if you're a late bird or because of where you live and you're able to catch that there, then certainly feel free to check them out. But he was on somebody else's channel, and I forget who it was. Maybe Barbarian Kung Fu's channel, I'm not sure, but he was selling these lots of Darth Vader Series 1, and I had a lot of them, but some of them I didn't have, and there's one particular comic that I wanted, or two particular comics that I wanted to get out of that set, so I went ahead and bought the whole thing, and that is Star Wars Darth Vader number 6. Nice. I think that's an Adi Granoff. Yeah, Adi Granoff cover. So Adi Granoff did, and Mark Brooks did some awesome art, and another Granoff cover. That is number 2, the 4th print. Did some awesome art during those. This is one of the ones that I wanted. I already had a copy of this. This is number 3. This is the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. Not a big fan of the characters in so much that I am that this is the bigger book of that series. I already had a copy, but there's some color rub on the back of my copy by the Staples. And if you're familiar with Marvel Comics in general, but in that era of Marvel Comics with those black covers on the back, notorious for color rub. This one's supposed to be a little bit better. So I thought maybe I might send it off to be graded and see what happens with that. Maybe I'll sell my old one. I don't know. Star Wars Darth Vader Annual number 1. Then we got number 20. This is awesome Mark Brooks cover there. Number 18. Now this is issue 15, which by itself is a great Mark Brooks cover, but I already have a copy of this. But as you might can tell, this one's a little more special in that it is signed not once, not twice, but 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times the signatures. Yeah, for all you old people, you know what that one is. So this is signed by Karen Gillian and Jason Aaron and also Mark Brooks. So the people that had the most to do with this particular book. Great cover. And they're all signed. Super duper COAs in the back there. This is issue 9 of that Star Wars run. Those are the ones that I needed. And these are the ones that I don't need. Why are you showing? No, those were mine. Those were not in that video that I sent you. These were those. We got Star Wars Darth Vader number 25. Now, the cool thing about this is, you get that glare off there. I'm not going to apologize for the glare, Bub. Bub's Comics tells you never to apologize for the glare. But check that Death Star out and how it's also Darth Vader's helmet. So that's a really dope cover. Then we got 24. 23, 22, 21. Another nice Mark Brooks cover, number 19, number 17. Another dope Mark Brooks cover. If we ever get to go back to Comic Cons and I get a chance to get Mark Brooks to sign something, this is definitely one that I wanted to look at getting signed. My only problem was, where do you get him to sign it and it not take away from it? I guess you can do like J. Scott Campbell and sign down the side of it or something to that nature. But yeah, you don't want to take away from that because that's just too dope. Then you got number 15, the unsigned copy. Number 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. And the thing with Darth Vader is that, this is obviously, according to George Lucas, Anakin is the crux of the Star Wars universe. Everything revolves around him, the whole story. At least the initial trilogy does. And so one would think that he is an overused character. But if you watch the original movies and with Darth Vader, you really don't get a lot of the backstory that the comics really provide. Because if you go back to most of the what's now referenced as legacy books, they do not really have a lot of Darth Vader stories past his conversion, if you will, to Darth Vader. There's a couple of them, and they were pretty good. But for the most part, everything's Luke and the kids, Han and Leia's kids mainly, and then forward. So when Star Wars was purchased by Disney and they grabbed the rights from Dark Horse, they really fleshed out, and they've definitely done a good job. I think they, especially like the latest Darth Vader deal. Of course, the Inhuck Lee covers are really nice. But the inside the story, you can really just see the constant struggle that Darth Vader had to try to remain like he was. That you see what Luke said. Hey, I see that there's good in him. You see that constant ray of light inside of him, and he's constantly having to suppress it, constantly mad about it, and definitely. Have been good reads, at least in my opinion. Just one man's less than humble opinion. Number 8, that's number 7. Number 5. Number 4. And number 1. That's another Granoff cover there. So that's really nice. I already had a copy of that. I think I got a sketch cover, and I got another version of that as well. And that same night, he was also putting up some Ultimate Spider-Mans. And so I now have the complete set of Ultimate Spider-Man. I only needed 2 or 3. And so I picked up the rest of them in these early Ultimates that he got. Now, I already had an Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. The one that I have is the free comic book day version of that. This is the, it's called something else, but essentially it was a JCPenney's version. And if you'll notice, it's actually still in the poly bag and still has the little hook where it, was hanging from off of the little hanger there. And coming soon, you can buy Marvel t-shirts and sweatshirts, which was really more of what JCPenney's is focused on. This is just kind of a side deal there. Disney has done I know, right? And I've said this plenty of times. It's like if you go to The Rise of Kylo Ren, for example, there's several scenes in there where Luke is as BA as he was in the Legacy novels. And it's like, why couldn't we have had this kind of Luke? Why did Rian Johnson have to run Luke for everybody? Not to say, because I guess there is a point to where, this guy's like too overpowerful and he really shadows everybody else. And I get that. But to make him to where he's just to the point that he's whinier than his dad was, Anakin, the way the prequels made him out to be. And, why couldn't he just kick butt, take some names, and go, that's the kind of guy I want to be like, huh? He could have been on death's door, right? He could have lost another arm, whatever that you wanted to do to take him down a notch, but to just a character assassination just for the sake of putting up a Mary Sue. I guess different people are calling the shots for the comics than what are calling for the movies. Needed number 5. And Ultimate Spider-Man, I still think is as far as complete runs go, Spider-Man books, best complete run of Spider-Man ever. So if you think about ASM, ASM is a long run, and therefore it is very hard to say, oh yes, best Spider-Man title ever, because it's been so long, right? Same thing, kind of similar when you talk about some of the other titles like Web of Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, all that kind of stuff. But those titles never really had any consistency, art or writing wise. But Ultimate Spider-Man, I like the 3 new movies a lot. Way better. What? What are you talking about? Get him. So, what's going on? Superior Hero Reviews. So I am going to drop the Big Wheel has arrived. I'm going to drop the link in the chat because I'm about through with the books. If anybody wants to jump in, minus Little Vernon's. What's up, folks? All is well. I'm going to drop this in the chat if anybody wants to join, talking about Ultimate Spider-Man and how it's the best, most consistent run of Spider-Man ever. I just think that Bagley, of course, is the quintessential Spider-Man artist for me. And then Bendis, as bad as he is on a lot of other stuff, was very consistent with the Ultimate Spider-Man run. Then we've got number 4 was one that I needed. I just picked up number 2 and number 3 from Big Wheel's 40 for 40 mystery boxes, so I didn't need those. I already had 7. I wish I had waited on 6 because I got this one much cheaper than what I had paid for it, and I had picked up 8 somewhere, but I don't remember where. But these are so talking about Star Wars. Star Wars stays fun. The movies, shows, books, toys have been great. Yeah. So talking about Star Wars, how can you say that the newest ones are better than? Let's pull his comment back up here, Matt. And if you want to come in here and defend yourself, Matt, feel free to do so. Then episodes 1 through 3. Okay, so when you say episodes 1 through 3, I'm assuming you're talking about the prequels. You're not talking about the first 3, which were really episodes 4, 5, and 6. That's the first thing I'm going to take away from it. Okay. So if you say that, I would overall, but I'd have to get up. What's going on, Ruben Guzman? Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Yes, the prequels. Okay. As someone who collects too much stuff, I have to stay away from the Ultimate Universe. Yeah, I had to back out of the Ultimate X-Men, which I thought was great up to a certain point. But Ultimate Spider-Man, most consistent all the way through, and I think it capped off really well, and it picked up with Miles. And of course, Miles is the rave. I'm not on the Miles bandwagon, but they just capped it off really well. As far as the prequel's concerned. So Phantom Menace, aside from Darth Maul and having been so long without a Star Wars franchise movie, okay. Attack of the Clone Wars was very, very cheesy. Okay. But Revenge of the Sith, I mean, that fight scene on Mustafar was the best. I mean, how can you argue? There's nothing to argue with that, and how they capped it off where, Obi-Wan picks up Anakin's lightsaber and he goes to walk off. I mean, really capping it off. And of course, everybody knows that the rest was history. And so still not correct. Force Awakens was okay. The other 2 were just bad. So, the thing with so Force Awakens was a lot of fan service, probably too much fan service, if that's a thing, right? Because J.J. Abrams wanted to make a big blockbuster, and so he throws it out there, and it was essentially a newer version of A New Hope. Some people might think that's okay, and maybe it is. But there was a lot of fan service to that deal, more than really character building. I thought that, everybody that watches Star Wars for the most part already knows the basics, right? Luke, Han, Leia, Lando, Chewie, all that. They all know the basics. So wouldn't it have been better if you're bringing in all these new characters that are going to kind of take the mantle going forward to kind of spend some time building that up? But it just felt so rushed because there was so much fan service in the way. Yes. Aside from Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, yeah, that was good. Let's see, that was the best fight scene. Yes, 10 minutes that make the best thing. Yeah, true. So there's Force Awakens. The Last Jedi, what they could have changed only a couple of things to me. And again, this is only one man's opinion. Star Wars fans as a whole seem to be very, very um, get very heated when talking about their franchise. Um, so, uh, yeah, everybody's entitled to their opinion, at least mine, you know. And so, the thing to me with Last Jedi was it wasn't that bad. There was only a couple things that could have changed to make it an okay movie. One, why the character assassination of Luke? Okay. If they would have just made it like it originally was. So I don't remember where I saw this or heard this at, but originally going from uh, Force Awakens, where Rey presents the lightsaber to Luke. Originally, she was going to walk onto the island, and there's Luke floating in the air, holding up all these boulders. You know, he's just Jedi meditating, right? And like a boss. And that's the way it was supposed to do when JJ hands it off to Rian Johnson. And then so somebody says, well, hey, we need to change this if Rian Johnson is going this way. So we have the scene where they're just staring at each other and they've been around the island. And then, of course, the next movie comes back with him just tossing it casually over his shoulder like it's nothing. And so do away with the character assassination of Luke. Let's see, I think of. Oh. Do away with the character assassination of Luke. Secondly, Luke can die in it. He's got to die at some point, right? So he can die in it. And the way that he died to me was not that bad. Okay. Would I have liked to see blazing lightsaber battle to the finish? Yes. But to me, it was kind of a fan service because he did exactly what Obi-Wan did in episode 4. He could have beat Kylo, but what would he have gained, right? It might or might not have beat Kylo, but what would he have gained? Okay, his whole point was to stall things out for them to escape, and that was the same thing with Obi-Wan. He could have kept on going, might or might not beaten him, could have gotten away, but would they have captured Luke and Leia, which Obi-Wan knew was more important that they get away and do what they needed to do versus him continuing to live on. So really had those deals. Do I think that Luke, as a master Jedi, would have exerted that much effort into what he did? Maybe, maybe not. But again, I'm okay with it. And how they, if you notice the sand, it didn't turn red because he wasn't moving. Of course, people didn't notice that until they rewound it. Yeah, exactly. Yoda went out the same way. That is a great, great point. So not only did he go out just like Obi-Wan and Yoda, his masters. And so that is an awesome point, Jeremy, that basically it was calling back to the way his masters went out. So I didn't have a problem with that. So don't character assassinate Luke and then take the whole movie for him to finally come to his senses and say, oh, crap, I gotta do something about this. Don't do that. The second thing to don't do is to make it to where anybody and everybody's a force user. Okay, it doesn't matter that you train. They're throwing everything under the bus as far as the whole Jedi training system. I don't know why the Jedi took kids as little babies and took them away from their parents so that they can focus on their studies. I don't know why they had Padawans and then they had Jedi Knights and then they had Jedi Masters. I don't know why they had any of that stuff because according to Rian Johnson, everybody has the force and anybody can use it. Hence, Broom Boy. I mean, why do that? I mean, you just basically said that it's no real big deal to be a Jedi. You just said it's really no big deal to use the force. Those two things would have made it so much better story, at least in my mind. Rey was not. No. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's the deal, and I think that maybe they forced. I don't know her as an actress. I don't know. I'm just talking about the story and the character. But maybe they were so busy trying to force this Mary Sue persona that, hey, girl power, we're up with the times and a girl's going to rescue all these sorry boys. Maybe they did so much of that they ruined the character. Because if you think about it, Luke really didn't have that much training either. Okay. When he goes and in episode 1, he's a couple of things on the way riding the Millennium Falcon. Obi-Wan's telling him a couple of things, and he gets shot by the little flying bot and all that kind of stuff. So then he goes to see Yoda. Well, he wasn't there that long. Okay. And he wasn't there that long. And then he's strong enough to kind of at least go round 1 with Darth Vader where he gets a hit in with him. So, there is that. I think she would have been better served to have Luke overshadowing her like the whole movie, and then him be there to help her into that point. And then they picked up in 3, or they picked up in 9 rather. They picked up in 9. She's getting trained by Leia, perfectly fine. And I think in 9 they had so much to overcome from 8 that there was that was way too much in that. There was way too much in that. They were ready to be done with it. They didn't want to do a 10. There was just way too much new characters, finding this, doing this. I mean, it was one spot to the other spot. It was way too fast paced. But just saying. I know that it was kind of sacrilegious, but it was another subject. I think it would have been as off-putting. Oh, okay, back up here. Is that character assassination? I ask because I hate the idea that I dedicated a large portion of my life to a cause, but as I get older, I less respect it. Okay. No, it's kind of but if on another subject, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Luke had regrets, right? He knew that he had messed up his deal. And so he goes into hiding from the Force. He withdraws himself. I mean, and then basically set his nephew on the path to the dark side, or helped pushed him over to the dark side. And of course, we found out that Palpatine was pulling the strings for it all. So he kind of pushed him over the edge and ruined the Jedi Temple, and it was all his fault. I get it. I just think that Yoda could have taught him a lot of that. So in other words, they could have had the same story in the end where the tree's burning and Yoda, conks him on the head with the stick. He could have had that story with Luke that we never saw. Maybe a flashback of that story of how Luke got to that point, as opposed to the way they did it. Yeah, and in the comics, but I felt like that was never fleshed out in the movies or the books. What's going on, Legion of Comics? How are you? John's Comics with Kids. What's going on, sir? How are you doing today? They don't have a problem with Luke's death, considering how they wrote when they wrote his character. Let's see. Luke's character made sense to me when I saw the reason why he was punishing himself and feared greater failure. Yeah. Because it was ultimately hubris that led to the fall of the Jedi, right? The thought that, hey, we know that the Sith can never come back. There can never be more than 2 because that's their rule, as if Sith were ever set to follow rules for any length of time, only when it suited them. So the fact that you would think that, and then when somebody comes and tells you, hey, the Sith are here, that you don't think no more about it than what you did, or that, hey, we're just going to go take them down. They just roll. I mean, when the Jedi were playing checkers, the Sith were playing chess, right? So Yoda, as powerful as he was, still has the hubris to think that I'm going to go take Palpatine on one-on-one myself. This Joker ain't got nothing on me. This dude just was right up under your nose the whole time and just assassinated almost every Jedi on the planet with one word: execute Order 66. Dibit. That's all he did, right? Let's see. Love the wars. Not a fan of the sequels. Yeah. And Mr. Garrell said, where did he go? Oh, years and years of canon down the drain. Yeah, that's why at first I wasn't a big fan of the Marvel comics, because I'm like, man, all those good Dark Horse stories, the Clone Wars and everything like that that Dark Horse had done, all that's gone. All those books that I'm looking at, that's why you see me looking off over here on my shelf. uh, all that never really happened. Now they do kind of pay fan service back to some of it here and there, kind of like with Ben Solo. Of course, Ben was Luke's kids in the book, but it is Han and Leia's son in the canon now. I think that they would have been better served to go with something like the Vong Wars. And for those of you who read the Star Wars novels, I think that the Vong Wars was a long enough. I mean, there's like a big set of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 18 or 19 books. But you could have pushed that into 3 movies, because some of them are kind of like side stories. Like when Chewie died, spoiler alert, but Chewie dies in the first one, saving Anakin, who is Anakin Solo, Han and Leia's youngest son. And he dies and go into the deal. So I think that you could have done very much the same thing as what you did, or what Disney did with Marvel, in the fact that they told an age-old story called the Infinity Gauntlet. Anybody ever heard of it, right? But what they did was they kind of tweaked it a little bit, brought it up a little time, saw some things that they could have made a little bit better. And for the most part, everybody was okay with that. They didn't feel like it was down-putting to the original storyline that I heard. Most people were like, it's pretty well received. They did a good job of paying just enough fan service, but bringing just enough where the fans don't go, well, I know what's fixing to happen, and be right every single time. You could have done that with the Vong Wars, because like I said, if you were a Star Wars fanatic from back in the day and read all that, you knew kind of the outline, but they could have changed it up a little bit. They could have still killed Chewie, but they could have like killed Luke at some point in there instead, and changed it up that way. But there would have been a lot of action, a lot of storytelling, a lot of callbacks to the old one, but enough new stuff to where everybody would have been happy. And you didn't have to decanonize every cotton picking thing. So the Clone Wars was some of the best Star Wars ever written. Yes. Was the best. It sure is my favorite. And so so the comics do well, right? And the books that I've read that have been done since Disney purchased, for the most part, have been good. Dark Disciple, that was one about Asa Ventress, which they totally retconned her. And oh crap, what's his name? Quinlan Voss. Yeah. So they kind of retcon that whole deal dynamic they had going on in the Clone Wars Dark Horse stuff. And then they do the TV series good. So why can't they do the movies when there's so much more on the line? So much more on the line, so much more money. Let's see, Jeremy. I really like Rogue One and The Mandalorian. I think Star Wars adjacent stories are a way to go. Yeah. And see, reading the book, the Rogue One story, well done. And it was well received by the fans. I think Han Solo, the deal with it was, one, it was a prequel. And so the problem is that you only have like so much creative leadway inside the character, because they know the character's not going to die. They know Chewie's not going to die. They know only certain things are going to happen. And then 2, there was the whole drama with the director and all that other kind of stuff that kind of, ran ashore with that one. So that was kind of the deal with that. But the other ones are okay. And if you've got to have enough, and that's why I was saying about the Vong series, was that there would be enough to where a new person that only knew, say, episodes 1 through 6 could have picked it up and caught on well enough. Oh, there's Han. Oh, there's Chewie, that type of thing. They would have been able to pick up on enough of the basics and not been left behind or had to go do a lot of research to kind of come up to speed. But yet it would not have been, they would have had the creative liberty inside those books or that series to do new things with it. So the last 10 seconds of the Darth Vader scene was amazing. I had a nerve. Oh yeah. Where they splice it in where New Hope picks up. Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's showing how bad Darth Vader was. It just if you never read the comics, never read the books, you never got to see that Vader. All you saw was a couple of scenes in 4, 5, and 6. Vader dies, killing the Emperor, and it's done, right? You never got to see Vader in action. I mean, everybody got to see Anakin in action, but there's somewhat of a difference in Vader in action. And the books, James Luceno wrote some books about that, and talking about how he got used to being taller, having all mechanical limbs and all that other kind of stuff. So, oh yeah, definitely. That's why I think that the New Republic, do not get Ryan Johnson to do it. Ryan Johnson says, you know what, Star Wars fans, read between the lines. That's basically what Ryan Johnson does. And so don't get somebody like him to do it. If you're wanting to placate your base, bring your base back in, as well as get new people. Do not get Ryan Johnson to do anything with Knights of Old Republic, or they're calling it something else now. But I think that's what they want to do, which is kind of on the same lines as what Legion of Comics was saying, is do something where you have some room. People know the basic premise. They know how the Jedi and the Sith are, good, bad. They know, basic planets. Outside of that, character build. And then that way you have the surprise if somebody needs to die. You have the surprise of not knowing what's going to happen. And then as with stories told like that, eventually something will say, and you'll go, oh, that's why that's always been that way on Corellia, as an example, or Coruscant. It's just one of those things. So I am just sitting here chit-chatting away about Star Wars, which I haven't done in an awful long time, although so, right. And the thing, I'm a purist, and so I'd be like, okay, this is not the way it was done in the past. I think we cannot change. We cannot veer from this course. So anyway, if you want to join, no Little Vernons or anything like that. But if you want to join, certainly feel free to do so. And we can talk about Star Wars. We can talk about anything that you want to talk about. Well, most anything that you want to talk about. We can talk about that. And hopefully everybody's Friday, if you're watching this live, is going well. I'm going to bebop over here to this other tab and see if the CGC, CGC. Don't know much about Star Wars, man. Well, it's another rabbit hole that you can definitely go down, because there's a lot of stuff there, especially if you delve into the comics, and the expanded universe. So if I was looking at CGC tab just then, and so they received my books originally on October the 15th. The 2 books that were wrong, where the label was switched around, of course, they shipped on the 26th. So that's really good. Pats on the back for speedy service, CGC. I mean, from the 15th to the 26th of shipping, you're only talking about 9 days. And I mean, you're talking about weekends in there. So that was really good, CGC. The only problem, as those of you who've seen my rant video know, is that they weren't right. And while it is good to have expedient service, it is always good to have good service and too. So I have done shipped them back because as a follow-up to the video where they had still not contacted me, they did contact me back. I gave them they gave me a label. I shipped it back. They have already received those back in house on November the 4th. And so they're showing receipt. And still, yet the other 2, 4, 6 books haven't had nothing done to them. So they've done finished 2 of the books, shipped them out, and I've shipped them back, and they've done received them, and yet they still hadn't done nothing with the other one. So, well, typically they say 30 days, which is fine. I think they've kind of bumped it up to 45 days. But yeah, so that definitely wasn't bad. And now he has arrived.
I have arrived.
What's going on, Big Will?
There we go.
Yeah, fast and good is a little much to expect at times. I know my standards are way too high for some people. Better writers, comics, and movies, please. Well, why don't they? Here's a novel concept. Jeff Johns with DC is more in line with the movies now, and he's wrote a lot of good books, right? The Flash and all that kind of stuff. Why not do the same thing on the Marvel side, where on the Star Wars side that they've done there on DC, and that is utilize the people that are writing the good books, like Charles Stoll. You know, he writes a lot of good Star Wars stuff.
Well, now wait a minute. We haven't seen much fruit from the labor of Jeff Johns yet. We don't know if he's as good on the film stuff as he is writing.
Well, he is given credit on Aquaman, which was a hit for them. I don't know about Wonder Woman, but I know that he was given credit on Aquaman.
Well, the second Wonder Woman hasn't released yet, and Aquaman, that was more of a James Wan. I think they just threw his name on there.
So you do it doesn't always translate, right? I mean, you might be able to meet deadlines and tell stories in comics that are not able to translate onto the screen. So, you know, I get that. But, so what are you up to, Big Will? You decided to
getting ready for Barbarian Kung Fu's Buy It Now sale in, let's say, about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting everything situated for that. I will be a participant. Will you be there today?
I will not be. I stayed up till 1:30 last night on Thunder God's channel selling books. And I told my wife I am not going to be selling tonight. So there you go. I'll probably be in there looking at stuff to buy, but probably not selling stuff.
Well, I'm just getting set up. I will be I think just straight dollar rounds every time. That's what I'm thinking.
So Barbarian stuff, you know, when you if you got it set up and it's cheap and fast, you know, that's what sells the best on his channel. But
yeah,
Mr. Garrell can tell you about all that. Let's see. Comics, man. He even consulted with Snyder before hands-on character style.
Yeah. So we really haven't seen Jeff Johns, what he can do in film yet. Mm-hmm. I hope he's good. Yeah, he was a good writer, especially with Green Lantern.
Yep. So you got any heat you want to show anybody that's going to be available for tonight's?
Well, I don't even know yet what I'm going to be pulling from. Really, I just recently sold 1,000 books.
Yeah, I heard about that. So the guy contacted you on IG. So how did you ship it?
Well, I had to figure that out. I wound up having to use 4 of my plastic long boxes and just tape them up with the lids and ship them UPS ground. That's
I
that's the
bet you.
best way I've found to do it.
So did he pay for shipping, or did you take that out of the price?
No, he paid for shipping.
How much was each box when you shipped it, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, each box was around 42 to 49 pounds, and it was roughly a little over $1 a pound, so about $50 per box. So I charged him a little more than I paid on the shipping, but I also had to get rid of, I used a lot of tape. I had to use all my backing boards and everything, re-back and board everything. I had to send him 4 of my long boxes that I just purchased for me, in order to ship these things. Because I wasn't expecting on someone to take me up on the offer and go, yeah, I'll buy all 1,000, You don't expect someone to say that,
No, sure. So were they buying them from mystery boxes? I don't imagine they're doing it for their PC.
He said it would be fun. That was his quote. Well, sure, I'll do it. It'll be fun. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But I keep finding some cool, interesting stuff I'll show you. But none of, I just said, what did I do with that? There it is. Some stuff here that's just hilarious to me.
G.I. Jack.
Real American hair. G.I. Jack rabbits.
Adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters from Playmates. Naive interdimensional commando koalas. Of course, that's a Beatles homage right there.
Yeah. So I found issue 2 and 3 of this. I think it went with 1,000 that I sent, but I kept out all these number ones. And there's another. I have one that's a ripoff of the Dark Knight, and it's like Clint, the hamster or something, with that famous Dark Knight lightning bolt. It's a cover swipe of that. So that just made me laugh.
So Legion of Comics says that it was definitely responsible for Stargirl, which was spot on. So
yeah, but I'm talking like movies or the bigger budget shows. Like that was a CW thing mainly, the Stargirl. So yeah, he did a good job. That's great, but it's also CW style, So it really doesn't have much punch to it. But when we get into the HBO Max stuff and the theatrical stuff, that's when we're really going to see what he can do.
So is he going to be involved with the Green Lantern stuff since he was so close with that back in the day?
I hope so. I think he's involved with all of it. He better be. I mean, who better? You have him there.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes no sense to not use him for the Green Lantern shows.
Right. So was he involved with Doomsday, the Doomsday thing that HBO done?
I don't know. It was a Legion of Comics. Yeah, it was a DC Universe original, but then it went to the CW.
Yeah.
So
they were doing their own app thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that sort of style.
Huh.
But yeah. So I'm just going to wait and see and hold off. Once they actually start releasing stuff, I'll get HBO Max.
So we know that you're a big Wolverine fan.
Yes.
So scratching the rust off of the old memory banks when they cast what's his name for Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. Were you disappointed or were you happy?
I wasn't a Wolverine fan at that time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I didn't know anything about Hugh Jackman at the time. I became a Wolverine fan in 2001, a year after the movie, after reading Wolverine 177.
Okay.
So from then on, I'm a Wolverine fan. But no, he's just always been Wolverine to me,
Yeah.
like most
So
people.
I would have thought maybe the X-Men animated series or something like that would have been what done it for you. But you were pretty
Well,
young
I
when that
liked
came out.
all of them in the animated series. I mean, come on. If you were a kid watching that, you liked them all. You probably had your favorites. Like I liked Wolverine. I liked Rogue. I liked all the Southern characters because I was like, I don't like that.
Right. I really wanted that new Blood Wolverine, but I don't have it at LCS. Mr. Garrow, I got a box here for you. If you want me to pick you up a copy, I can pick you up a copy and just charge you cover price, for it, because my LCS had them. Yeah. So I got that one, but I almost got another one, the Ron Garney cover where he's clawing down the thing, the page. Gambling Bishop.
Bishop wasn't in the first, I think, season. He definitely wasn't in the first bunch of episodes. So
right. Yeah, they introduced him later, and so talking about Bishop, when I first started collecting X-Men comics, X-Men 281 was one of the first ones that I got, which is the issue before Bishop appearance, right? So Bishop was very fresh to me, and then of course the X-Men animated series was very fresh as far as brand new character.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to switch my camera, and let's see if I did this right.
So he's giving a plug for the HBO Max there.
Say what?
He's giving a plug for HBO Max. You were saying something about getting HBO Max.
Oh yeah. Well, I once they start releasing the DC stuff, I'm going to get it. You don't have to sell me. I am going to get it.
So they didn't officially announce which ones are going to be on there, though.
I'm not sure.
Or is that just rumor?
Well, I honestly don't know, man. They sort of rumor and everything else kind of runs together to me.
Yeah, kind of like the She-Hulk deal. They said, "Oh yeah, it's official. This is who's going to play She-Hulk," and not so much.
Oh, good Lord.
Price went up. Well, that used to be a big book back in the day, Mr. Garrell, and so I found several copies at Second and Charles's, and they were like $5, and they were good copies. I found a newsstand one somewhere not too long ago.
This. You mind doing me a small favor and put me big? Let's see how this looks.
Yeah, sure.
I see a huge glare. Yeah, I think that'll work for showing.
Move the book over to the left and see if that.
Well, no, I know what to do. I have a light over.
Oh, okay.
Over here to the side. I
Yeah.
use it, and it lights up everything rather than the light up top,
Right.
which leaves this huge glare.
Gotcha.
So I'm just needing the position. So that's a good position. Okay, I'm good to go then. I just gotta switch lights.
I got you.
Awesome.
Well, so check this out. You heard it here first, folks. If you are watching this show, because I just got a DM from my presser, and he just did a post on IG. And so what I'm going to do is I'm fixing to pull up his post. And So let's see here. Share screen. We're going to go to Chrome tab here. Right there. All right. Everybody see that?
Oh,
check that out. So I sent
that's
him.
your book?
Yeah, that's mine. And
How come it didn't get sent to you?
because he ordered it under CBCS under his account, which in retrospect, I don't know why I did it that way because he sent those 8 books that are at CGC, including the 2 that messed up and had to go back. He pressed those as well, and I filed those under my CGC account so that I could see the graders notes if I wanted to in the future. The problem was, then I didn't think about it on the CBCS, and my thought was, hey, it doesn't really matter. I can look up the grades if I want to with CBCS. I don't have to be the one that submitted it. So I bought that book off an online auction, and it was signed, and of course it was officially witnessed, by Herb Trimpe, who's no longer with us. And so they were verified his signature with CBCS. I couldn't send it to CGC, obviously, because they would not have, unless they themselves did the pressing, would not have, kept that yellow label, and I didn't want a green one. But as you can see right there, that pressing can make quite the bit of difference in pressing and cleaning. And as a matter of fact, this same guy that done that pressing for me, I sent my Hulk 180, 181, 182, my Conan #1, and my Marvel Premiere #15, all to him to fix up for the Roy Thomas signing. And so I sent them to him, and I said, man, you got to pop them out and send them off because I know one of them needed a press. But supposedly, when I purchased that 180, 181, and 182, that they were already cleaned and pressed, which they may well had been. And that Marvel Premiere 15 was supposed to have been cleaned and pressed by PGX because I paid them to do it. But when I got the book back, it did not look like it had been cleaned or pressed. So I said, I'm going to leave it into your discretion of what you do with it.
I warned you about PGX.
So he sends me the pictures, and I said, dude, because he got all kinds of dirt off my Hulk 180, and it looks it was a 4.5 blue label, so the value stamp's in that one. It's a 4.5, and I'm expecting to get a 5 or 5.5 on that one when it comes back. But
just for cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It looked like they took charcoal or something on the back of the thing. Legion of Comics. Today's your son's birthday. Well, happy birthday, son of Legion Comics, and start the festivities. And y'all have a great night too. And Mr. Garrell agrees with you. PGX. Ha 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 ha. So understand that I sent these to PGX to give them the shot, give them a benefit of a doubt. And that Marvel Premiere 15 was part of that. And this was before CBCS had anything but the ugly pink labels. So now I'm using CBCS, although I'm not too terribly happy with their current rate of return on their pressing service, as me and Big Will both know about. But as far as sending them a book and getting it turned around, if all you're going to do is grade it and the cases and the labels now, top notch. So anyway, so I'm looking at getting so if I get, because you know what they say about PGX grades, right? That they're usually lower than what a CBCS or CGC would be. So if I keep the PGX grade that I had as a result of the way he cleaned it and he pressed it, I'm happy. If I get a grade bump, even better. So
What if you go lower? That's what happened to me. Mine went
I'll be
lower.
sad. I'll be sad. I'll cry.
Mine went lower by 3 grade points.
Whoa! Whoa!
They had it at a 6.
I mean, did you look at it and say this? There's no way that PGX is right on this. Did you look at it and say that?
Well, yeah. As soon as I got it back, I was like, "This is not a 6. This is like a 3." I sent it to CGC. I think they're wrong. They sent it back as a 4, which I think that's wrong. But I'm thinking we're 1 point off, so that's within the realm of me not knowing what I'm doing, you know.
Right.
But it being a 4, and they had it at a 6.
Yeah. So well, but at least you're closer. In other words, you didn't feel like PGX was right. So I'm looking at what PGX had, and they're pretty much spot on. Every book that I've submitted to them has been pretty much spot on. As far as what I felt versus what they came back with. So it's not like they've been, and there was actually 1 or 2 that were actually lower than what I felt they were. But, you know, grading is subjective regardless of what company you use. So anyway, there is that. So he just got them back. So then that means that I'll be getting them back pretty soon myself, because so that one, there's a Batman 6, whatever the first appearance of the Red Hood is. I've got one that's got a remark on it by Matt Wagner.
Now, what about the 180, 181, and 182? Are you getting those sent directly to CGC, or are they getting sent to you, and then you're going to send them in time for Roy Thomas?
So I have already done the order form for the Roy Thomas submission. And so I sent that to my presser. So he has everything. And then he's going to mail them directly to CGC for the Roy Thomas signing, because he already has the window bags and everything. Already got all these books were already slabbed. So he had to crack them, and he had to do the pressing and the cleaning. But I already got bags for him and got them named, you know, because in different places on the comics, I've got different places cut out on the bag for where I want him to sign at. So, yeah, these are going there, which I have to the end of the month.
Yeah, the 30th. And now CGC has recently come out with their own window bag, their signature series window bag. Now, Ultra Pro has a window bag that they sell. It comes 10 in a pack, and it's like, I think, $10 to $15. I think it's around 12, and that to me is a bit expensive. That's over $1 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
CGC's, and it loads from the side behind the flap. It's awkward. CGC's top load, which is great, and they come 25 to a pack for, if you round up, $13. So that is much better price, much better system, because it top loads.
Yeah.
I think I might buy one. I don't know. It's because the reason you would want to is because you don't want to waste, you know, I shouldn't have said that. Is you don't want to waste a good bag and board, you know, having to, you know, you'd be wasting one backer board, you'd be destroying one bag, you know, and then you got to redo, and you got to be careful not to cut. And if you don't do it right and you leave, you know, you could get your book caught, and it's time consuming and annoying. So if you don't send that many in, but you send enough in, it might be a worthwhile investment. So I'm thinking I might buy one. I'm not sure.
Well, the other thing too, though, is assuming that cons ever become a thing again, which, by the way, there's one in Nashville this weekend, which is kind of close to you. So if cons ever become a thing again, that was always so annoying to me, trying to pull my bags out to get them signed. And with what happened with my Steranko, when I got my Detective Comics 1000 signed, the signature smeared. So, you know, that would be a benefit, even if I wasn't ever going to send anything else to CGC. It's funny because they announced, what's going on, Bubs Comics? they announced with CGC that Bart Sears was doing one of the signings. So Bart Sears, of course, drew Turok back in the day, did the cover for Turok 1, did a lot of Exo Manowar stuff. So I'm a Valiant guy. So that's right.
I got my updated list. Let me go grab it real quick.
Okay. I'm a Valiant guy, and so I thought, man, that'd be great. So CGC post this, and I said, "Oh, is he doing sketch cover too, or only doing signatures?" I replied directly to their post on Instagram. So what they did was they finally answered me, and they said, "Yes, he is." Well, if I jump up here in a minute, Big Will, don't think nothing about it. I'll be back after a while.
Do what?
So CGC replied directly back to me and said, "Hey, he's doing remarks now," which I'm not a real big fan of remarks so much. But it was interesting that they replied to my comment on that, but they never replied to any of the posts that I made about them being sorry. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I don't care about figuring out and writing down the people who do remarks and all that or things like that. I just want to know how much will it cost to just get a signature, and when do I have to have it by in? So by December 15th, you can send in Brad Anderson, Jason Fabuk, Jeff Johns. Let's see, Bob Layton is November 20th. Roy Thomas, November 30th. January 8th is Benjamin Percy and Adam Kubert. Let's see. Also by the 15th of December, you have Peter Tomasi and Doug Mankey, as well as David Finch. On the 7th of December, you have Chuck Dixon, Graham Nolan, Rags Morales, Arthur Seidem, and Renee Winterstatter. And on the 30th of this month, you also have Bert Sears. Now, as of right now, that is all they have scheduled. Everything else that they had has either passed the due date or whatever. But they don't have a very organized way of doing it. If you look on their website, have everything all that organized. So I like to always write it down and everything. I write down who, when you got to have it in by, and how much. And that way I can keep track of if I happen to get a good book, like a Thomas book, and I just flip through. Oh, hey, he's signing. Oh, darn, it's too late to send it in. Or hey, I got time, and I can figure out if I want to do anything or not. So I like to keep a good list.
So like we talked about last time, if you find a big book, this is the time to send them in because they're not charging what they normally would charge for that stuff. So.
No, if you have a huge big money book like Incredible Hulk 181, and you want to get that signed by Roy Thomas, you would have to go like standard tier or higher because minimum value, even if it's got the coupon cut, is $1,000 on that thing with what prices are now. But it doesn't matter. There's no value cap. If you do for the Roy Thomas signing, it's going to cost you $75 for the signature, grading, and everything, even with a 181, which is why that guy is actually sending his stuff in because he can get it all on the cheap, basically.
Well, that was one of the things that pushed me over the edge on doing the Roy Thomas signing, was doing it that way, and the fact that he's older. Because some of the other ones, I would love to have their signatures, but I'm just holding out hope that they're going to be at a con and I can have that experience. And this won't have to send it to CGC. But
well, as of right now, the only things, the only people that have any huge big money books, aside from Roy Thomas, really is some of David Finch's Moon Knight stuff, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's some people that have $100 books, but there's no one that has a big money book. outside of Thomas and maybe some of Finch's stuff, just because of how low print it was on Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you who might not have came in or were not in here when I shouted out the presser and showed my giant size X-Men number 1 that went from a 3.5 to a 4.5, that is Eric, the comic _presser on IG. If you use the code, I think it's Burt Family, you get free shipping. So that can add up to some money. Especially if you're doing it every time. So he does really good work. He not only does these, but as I mentioned a while ago, he's in the process of doing my 180, 181, and 182. And so those were all graded. I have sent him some stuff that was not already graded. So I really can't compare it to that. I just see the pictures of the before and after, where the creases came out and all that kind of stuff came off. But so it'll be interesting when these come back from CGC this time as to whether or not I got that, most coveted grade bump or not. I do want to also shout out MLV Comics. If you're not subscribed to MLV, go check him out. I know he's putting out content more often now. And the reason why I shout him out was because he hooked the brother up. Because he found out that I was not able to pick this up from the LCS, and he sent me a copy of it. So shout out to him. He said he had pre-ordered like 5 from somewhere or something like that, and he said, I'm going to send you one. And so I got it in the mail today. I ordered the Jabroni tribute one, but because I ordered a book that has yet to be released, I think they're holding it to complete the order to mail it out, 616 Comics. So I have not got my Jabroni tribute Turtles Last Ronin yet.
Yeah. I ordered the 5th printing of Strange Academy 1, but it doesn't come out for like another week. So they're just waiting until it comes out, and then I'll get shipped that. But
so who'd you order that from?
eBay.
Okay.
Someone on eBay. Yeah, it was close to cover with some shipping, so I just did that. Hey, I went to the shop for once on a Wednesday.
Okay.
Want to see what I got?
Yeah. Ah, nice. X-Men. Is that X-Men 12?
Timeless variants here.
Uh-huh. I'm still looking for the Storm one. And
yeah, you should have said something earlier. I had already given my spare Storm to John's Comics with Kids.
Have you read that yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't read this yet either. This is issue 2.
I like 1 better, but okay.
This is my.
I've heard a lot of good things. People like reading it and stuff. I mean,
I do. It's a good. I love the facsimiles. Yeah, Strange Academy is good, man. I haven't read any of my new comic book day stuff yet because I was doing V for Vendetta for JP's budget collecting show last night. So that's what I've been reading. This is a facsimile as well. I thought you think I should send this in for Roy Thomas to sign?
You could.
I mean, he did write the original.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, I just don't know if that'd be a good one if that'd be worth the money or not. Yeah, that's on my books.
So I heard that you were going to hang those up in your room there. So are you going to? Are they the little things like Reggie talks about to hang up? Is that what you're talking about using?
No, that's way too fancy and expensive.
Okay.
And they're made for slabs, really.
Yeah,
no,
really.
I am going to use something that Daymares of all people sent me, and it's called Snappets, and I think Comic Vantage has a video review on these. If you want to know what I'm talking about, just BCW Snappets. But anyway, it's got delayed, so they'll come in tomorrow instead of today. And basically what it is it's a 3-ring binder thing that has top loading for your comic. You can do it in bag and board or just, raw. And they also snap together. So
Okay.
I can hang them and have like a sheet of 4 hanging by 2 nails, and then another 4, and then another 8 rows of 4, and that way I can have all my Ross variants.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do, and I just got to figure out then how I want to put it together. I noticed Bueller has his Ross variants all done up, and he got fancy with that and has it like in all a display where he set them on there.
Yeah, he got that from the comic shop. Yeah, the comic shop was throwing that away, and he got that display. So, and then when he got all the Ross variants, he put those up there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that lucky, so I'm just going to use these things and put it on my wall. And I noticed he has the Fantastic Four all together, but since they're like the first family of Marvel, I think I'm gonna have one of each of them in a corner, and then there's like the Fantastic Four holding all of Marvel together on my wall. I think that would look cool.
And then when they come out with the villain timeless variants, you'll have to figure something new out.
I have another wall over here. I got a wall over here. Actually, doing 8 rows of 4, I still will have room on this wall back here. So, yeah, I can do more. And the great thing with the snap-its is I'll be able to add. I can do a 5th row if I wanted. Or however, and they snap top, bottom, right, and left. You can snap them together anyway. So yeah, it should look great once it's done.
Yeah, I have to check that out because on my wall, that way I can change them out all the time. Those little guides are stuff that you screw into the wall, and those little shelves hang, and you lay the shelf on top of it.
This is just snapped together pouches, basically, that you slide your book in.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully it works good. I'll know. I'll get them in tomorrow and play with it, and hopefully, if not tomorrow, over the weekend, I should have it set up, and then I'll be doing this turned around with that as my backdrop.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a nice backdrop.
Yeah, I'm hoping anyway. And that'll also let me see how many I'm missing. I know I'm missing currently the Angel. I'm missing Angel.
That's another one I'm missing too.
And as of right now, that's the only one I know I'm missing, but I'm not 100% sure because I got stacks of these things in a few different places because I don't have a display yet. I'm waiting on it.
So are you interested in the, was it the 1 in 100 sketch variants?
No, because I'm not made of money.
Or that.
I mean, I'm interested, but I can't afford to do all that.
Not interested enough to go after it. Now, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What you said, what you've told me before is you can afford anything you want. It just takes what?
Patience? Yeah, I ain't got time for that.
No, nobody ain't got time for that. Okay, I got you.
But back to this. Would this be wise to send in for Roy Thomas' signature? Because he did write the actual Avengers 57, although this is a facsimile. Now I know if I had this in this grade, the original, and he signed it, it'd probably be like a $8,000 book.
Oh yeah, sure.
But obviously, this is not even a tenth of that. It wouldn't even be worth $800. It'd be worth less. But you think it'd be worth enough to maybe do it, or just hold off and say no?
Well, it depends on if you want one. Do you want a Roy Thomas signature?
I don't care if I have a Roy Thomas signature or not. This is a purely money deal.
Oh, I won't worry with them because I mean, I'm sure there's going to be somebody that would. I was going to say fall for it, but that ain't right. I mean, that would buy it just because it's got Roy Thomas's signature on it. It's a 9.8 probably, that type of thing. But I don't know if if it would reward out, because you're talking about what, $8 plus the cost of the comic and shipping. So you're looking at about $100. You'd have to sell it for more than that to get your money out.
Yeah. Now these facsimiles are great to add into your pre-screen 9.8. Because you could sell them for $40 shipped. You make a few dollars, and it's a beautiful way to display a book or have a book that you normally wouldn't be able to afford without time, patience, focus. But yeah, but getting the signature, that's like $70 plus the shipping and insurance and the shipping back. So that wouldn't be worth it probably. But to throw one in on a pre-screen, yeah, man, I'd do that all the time.
Sure. Well, and I mean, but along the same idea, along that same line, even if you had a lower grade one, if you came across a lower grade one, that would be a good book to get signed. But,
oh, you mean an actual copy? Yeah, that would, an actual copy of 57, even if it's a 2.0, it'd be worth it to get it signed, probably.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about those facsimiles, I got that 9.8 giant size X-Men 1 from you. It's been filling the hole since my other one has been away from me for a little while. But it will soon be back home, and all will be.
But let me guess, the one on display that you don't mind if the sun, degrades and everything, it's going to be that facsimile, and then you bring out the other one when you really want to show it off, right? That's the point. These facsimiles is this could be in the sun with a 40-watt bulb in it all day long, fade to crap, and you're okay because you spent $40 on it total. That's why I love these things and graded.
So, talking about grading, did you watch Bueller's interview with the head of CBCS the other night?
Yeah, I'm surprised no one brought up a question on shipping times for pressing. If you notice, that one question was never asked.
That was one of my questions. Besides in-house customer service or in-states customer service, those were my two questions as far as to Bueller, because when he was asking for questions to talk to him about it, that's what I submitted.
I would have added those myself, but I didn't realize he was asking questions asking for us to give him questions. But yes, I watched the whole thing. Great interview. Agree with most of it, but those two questions never came up because no one asked them. I mean, you asked him.
He had them. Oh yeah, he had them. Because it was in his, I don't know if it was in his Coffee with Comics videos or some of his other stuff that he had asked for that, and I had left it, and he had mentioned that he got it. But you saw the code for the month of November so anything that's submitted to CBCS during the month of November, you get 10% off the submissions using his code.
And now, if you send something from PGX or CGC to get a reholder, it's 30% off if you go with the CBCS.
So CGC was doing that. Are they still doing that?
I think they are. I think it's just listed as a crossover in their system.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were doing that before, and you know why they're doing it, and that's great. That's called competition. It works wonders. Yeah. And I hope personally that they get a lot of people, because the more people they get, the more validity that's added to CBCS, the more CGC either has to, stand up or be put in the backlight,
Well, I don't know, man. I kind of hope CGC runs them ragged. That way they'll get that better customer service. That way they'll get a few more people in there for the press.
Yeah, it works both ways.
Switch.
Yeah, it works both ways. And so, they'll pull them this way, and then CGC will pull them back this way, and the consumer wins.
If I have to press a book and send it, I would much rather do it all in one place. And as of yet, I have not had any reason to not like CBCS's pressing. Everything that I have had done with them has been great. And, I haven't had any issue except as of right now, or as of a few months ago, they only had 3 people working there and pressing, and they got so backed up. The stuff you and I sent that arrived in August, we're hoping to get it back in, late January at the earliest. Probably February.
Yeah, probably so. They should under promise, over deliver, but that's a lost art, I guess.
Well, they did, and then the time got bigger and bigger.
So, are you submitting anything to CBCS or just CGC this month?
This month, I just about do something every month. No. As of right now, I am just on hold for any grading until I get stuff back and I get stuff sold and I'm organized. And then we'll see. Right now, I'm putting stuff together for a pre-order at some point. And I think I may try the CBCS this time because you can do it and you don't have to have 25. I mean, you can do it with 3 books if you want, and I think I may do that. But as of right now, I have no plans of sending anything anytime soon. I'm just putting stuff together, and I got time on things like this. This is FF 20, first molecule. I've got time. It'll be at least 2022 before we have anything major announced with the FF as far as a movie, and it'll be middle of 2021 before anything might be dropped or hinted on Disney Plus. So I've got time to wait and send it in later.
Right. So, did you have anything with CGC that was like really important to get back because it was a deal that you wanted to turn around and flip while the getting was good?
Yeah, but it thanks to some things that happened, that did not occur. But it really doesn't matter because although I wanted it to get done fast, it was ASM 361, so it didn't have to be done fast.
Yeah, well, the corona cuts both ways, right? So
Yeah. it
actually helps in some ways, the delay of all this thing.
But I'm bringing up my CGC right now to show. Okay, I have 2 books that I sent in for the Jim Starlin signing. They are received. I have 25 in a pre-screen that is scheduled for grading. I have another 16 for pre-screen sent on the same exact day of the others that's just received. I have 2 for modern that are scheduled for grading. I have 3 for value that are scheduled for grading. And I have 1 for fast track economy that is currently being graded quality control right now. And that's the ASM 361. So hopefully Monday or over the weekend, I'll get a thing about my book has been shipped.
Well, mine's been showing scheduled for grading for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, I got my pre-screen order has been scheduled for grading for well over a week. So, who knows?
Yep. Well, who all's selling on Barbarian's channel tonight?
I have no idea. I
Usually
honestly do not know and do not care. I just take care of my own self.
I got you. So, Flash by Night saying, what are value and economy, Big Will?
All right. Well, here. I love it. Why don't you just share the screen on CGC and we can just go through that and explain it?
All right. Well, let's do that then.
Or do you want me to, which is faster?
No. Yeah, I know, right? Let's see here.
Yeah. But to answer your questions, there are different tiers based on value more than anything else. And if your book is a certain value, you can put it in some tiers, but you are barred from putting it in others. And then there's the end all be all tier, which is called walkthrough, which doesn't literally mean walk through. That's just the speed at which it goes. It's as if you just walk through there because it comes back, like that. But it's also the most expensive.
Right. All right. So let's see.
CGC grading services and tiers.
And grading.
No, I'm sorry, submit services and tiers. My bad.
Okay.
Services and fees, yeah.
All right.
Okay. So there you go. As far as age, there's really only one that truly matters. Modern, the books have to be published between 1975 and today, and they have to have a value no more than $200. So that's the modern tier that he's showing right now. And it gives you how much it is for fast track, which makes it done faster, and how long it takes for either one of those you do. Value is for any book, no matter how old it is, that's valued at $200 or less. And so it doesn't matter when it was published. Same thing with all the rest of them. Economy. Doesn't matter what the book is. It just has a max value of $400. Then standard, that's $1,000. Express is $3,000. And then walkthrough deals with percentages because it just goes by, same day. It's the quickest tier if you want something back, but it's also the most expensive. I can't read it because it's too small. What's the minimum price for that?
3% of fair market value or $150 minimum.
To how many maximum?
$5,000.
Yeah. So you're going to pay a minimum of $150 for one book, up to $5,000. So in other words, if you have a high grade, do what?
Yeah, I was going to say if you had a Batman 1 or something really big like that, that's where you're.
Yeah. So a Batman 1 is going to cost you $5,000 to get graded, whereas a Hulk 181 in an 8.0 or 8.5 is going to cost you the 150, because both of those would have to be walkthrough, but one is worth significantly more than the other.
Right. Yep. And then there's still another segregation of sorts with reholdering a high value book. So they will reholder if you don't like your old CGC stuff. They will reholder it, but if it's a high value book, then it's still going to be a different price. Unless you were wanting it graded, I mean, tell me if you said you think something different, but unless you were wanting it regraded, why would you want to go from a CGC normal label to a CBCS label or book?
Well, it's going to get graded if you cross that over.
Okay, so if you cross it over.
Yeah, you cannot have a CBCS and expect to keep the grade going to CGC and vice versa.
Right, and it'd be like if I sent them a PGX book and it's a 7.5, and then now they put their thing on there saying, "Hey, it's a 7.5, but it might be a 4." Then it's their name.
They're not going to trust the other company. It will be graded.
Mm-hmm.
But one more thing to note on all those is that if you put something in the value tier, but yet you're trying to pull one over on them and it's actually worth $1,000, if they don't catch it, you saved yourself some money. But if they do catch it, be prepared because they will bump you up to the appropriate tier and charge you the appropriate amount for that tier that they put you in.
And so CGC did that to me as far as when I was submitting my Turtles #1. They changed it to a magazine holder, and which is a different size, and so they changed that. So and charged me. It ended up being like 40 something more dollars. So when everybody's wanting to get these graded, and who in the world thought that it was a good idea to make that tall of a book? I mean, why not just do a magazine, deal, right? Make it wider.
Well, if you get it graded, it'll have to be a magazine anyway.
Is a magazine going to be big enough for it?
I would hope so. I would think so. Is that in the golden age or a magazine board?
I'm not sure. He sent it to me like that, but you have to kind of play around with it and work with it because it's not the size right for anything.
Well, if you have a Batman Damned, you can compare size.
Okay.
Or if you have your Flying Fist or whatever of Kung Fu that you got Claremont to sign, if you can compare with that one, that's definitely a magazine. Or a Savage Sword of Conan, if you have any of those.
Well, I've got some CGC magazine slabs. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a Bizarre Adventures #27 from 1981. Chris Claremont story, John Buscema and George Perez art. So, and as soon as I got this in, it was laying on the side of my desk here, and I bumped it, and it went, and it cracked the case.
Huh.
But anyway, looking at it, it looks like it should fit. It's going to be snug as far as tall wise, not wide width, but tall wise, it's going to be a snug fit in there. Because I'm sure
somebody has already submitted some. So
exactly, that's what I was going to say. I'm sure somebody somewhere has already hit that the fast track out.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to pick me up a 1 in 10 last night, but it got a little more than what I wanted to pay for it. So I bid $60 and I got outbid. I was on Thunder God's auction. He had one.
Oh, okay. There are some people pre-selling CGCs for the last run.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently they're either going to be in a lot of trouble or it will fit.
Well, I have seen where people have ended up refunding people because it didn't go the way they thought it would. But anyway, well, man, I appreciate you jumping on with me. We're at 1 hour and 37 minutes and just kind of rambling about this, that, and the other. And appreciate you jumping on. And hopefully you'll sell a bunch tonight.
We'll find out.
And get rid of some stuff. One day you'll get that Wolverine 9.8, and all that time that you worked to get that Wolverine 9.8, and you know what's going to happen? You're going to get it, and you're going to go. Somebody's going to offer you something for it, and it's going to be gone too.
That's why I'm only about 3. Make sure one of them's a green label. That way, I'll probably keep one.
Okay. You can buy you a PGX one, and then.
No.
Then you'll keep it because you can't sell it. So, all right. Well, guys, gals, or whoever's that have been in the chat with us this whole time, I do appreciate you stopping by. Go to Barbarian Kung Fu's YouTube channel to check out Big Will tonight. Remember to enter to win my 600 subscriber giveaway, which is a New Mutants 98. Check out any of my recent videos to find out how to enter to win if you have not already. And until next time, keep reading and keep collecting.